It's so interesting to me that we often make choices or do things that we know are suboptimal, or maybe even deep down we know are the wrong decision ahead of time. And we're all guilty of this. And so there's this great story that I think about a lot. Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest NBA players of all time, but he was notably bad at shooting free throws. And in like the 1967 season, his average shooting percentage from the free throw line was around 41%. And so he had this coach that, was experimenting, trying to get him to try something different. And he started shooting underhand, like in that Hey Arnold episode. So instead of shooting overhand, he would get to the free throw line and take the shot underhand, and it worked remarkably well. And so he experimented with it one night in an actual game against the New York Knicks. They were playing in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And Chamberlain was exceptional and shot like 87 or 88%. He went 28 for 32 from the free throw line, which is unbelievable. He scored 100 points that night, which is like still a record. It's unbelievable what he was able to achieve. The highlight of his career. And he never did it again. Like, it worked. He literally had a career game, and it was so clear that the underhand shot was the thing that really allowed him to change his own percentage from 40% or 41% to almost 90%, and he never did it again. And afterwards, like later in his career, people would ask him about it, and he said he just felt uncomfortable. He felt like a sissy. He felt weird doing it. It was this societal norm that he wasn't allowed to do. And today, in the NBA, like, nobody does this. And it's so interesting to me. And like, Wilt Chamberlain is not somebody that you would normally think of as like a self-conscious person. Like, if you hear stories about this guy, he was a pretty confident individual, did really well in his life, was a fantastic athlete, but still, even he fell victim to the societal pressure. So if Wilt Chamberlain can't see the data and adjust what became known as the granny shot, bad branding, but then the rest of us don't stand a chance. So whether we're acting as consumers, or we're acting as business leaders, we're acting as marketers, like, we're all guilty of what I sort of now refer to as the Wilt Chamberlain effect. There are so many things that we know deep down would be the right decision, but we sort of gravitate toward something else that feels safe, even if it's not optimal. There's this old saying you've definitely heard before, saying, no one ever got fired for hiring IBM. This is something that comes up a lot in the Steve Jobs book by Walter Isaacson. This is something that is well documented, right? And so marketers, we do this all the time. And we know that there are things that work well. We know that there's a ton of research behind certain strategies and tactics, and yet we still ignore them all the time. And I think it's fascinating. And one of the things that comes up a lot that I've spoken about before is the effectiveness of animals in advertising and characters as mascots for your brand. And there's so much research on this. And like, I go into the actual research in my book, but like, when you introduce animals, particularly like furry, cute animals, into ads, the memorability of the message and the ad is just astronomically higher than when you use humans or nothing. And it's not surprising, and we know it. You really think about, like, hey, look, I'm driving in a car that's insured by a gecko right now. There are just so many things, like brands that have transcended decades, recessions, depressions, wars, that have looked at an animal mascot as like the quintessential cornerstone of their branding over time. And yet we see that, and then for our own marketing decisions, we're like, oh, well, the Charmin bears are great, and they've been, one of the most effective advertising tactics of all time, and Charmin's been the leading brand in toilet paper in the United States for the last 30 years. But like, that doesn't apply to me. Like, that's not what my brand is about. And I think a part of it is like, we all take ourselves too seriously. Like, we're all afraid of being the ones that like have the Charmin bear idea that fails, because it's easier to hang your hat on like we're a serious brand, and then you fail, than like, we trotted out a bunch of cute bears into our commercials and then it failed. And I think that like insecurity is what prevents a lot of chief marketing officers in particular from doing these kinds of things, that like, there's just so much research and anecdotal evidence that these things work. And the irony of this is that like, there are countless books that have talked about this, right? The research and the effectiveness and all these different marketing gurus who are like saying that they're constantly yelling at their clients to introduce animals and character mascots to their brands. And yet you look at the cover of these books and like all these books covers are like generic marketing books. It's like an abstract image of a funnel or like something like that, right? That to me, that is like mind blowing, right? It's like all these marketers who are literally publishing books that are talking about this specific tactic, and they themselves are not even following their own advice. And that's just incredible to me. I think that's so interesting, right? It's like if Wilt Chamberlain, already one of the best basketball players of all time, can't get over the emotional risk and insecurity of doing something that was proven to give him the best game of his career, and marketers are like yelling at their clients and publishing books, like stamping literally their name on the cover and not willing to do the same thing, like, man, what chance do the rest of us have? But then you can look at it this way, it's like, that is such an opportunity, man. Like, we all know these things to be true, and no one does it, which makes it so simple for those that are willing to go against the grain. And like, it's not being rogue. It's so interesting. Like, it's not doing the crazy thing because the data suggests it and no one's doing it. That to me is like you're killing two birds with one stone. Like, you're doing the more effective thing. Also, it's going to be different than what everyone else is doing. That to me is the best kind of marketing you could ever find. And so that's why, like, I'm screaming from the rooftops all the time. I'm trying to get all of my clients to do these kinds of things. And by the way, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I just published a book with a dog on the cover. And people are like, that's kind of weird. Like, are people going to know that this is a marketing book? Are they going to take you seriously? And it's like, I don't care about that. And the answer is like, it doesn't matter. And yes, they will. And maybe some won't. Doesn't matter. This is going to work, right? My book became the #1 new release in marketing and advertising categories for a reason. It's already starting to work. The data is there. So I think for those that are willing to like suppress the societal pressure and this need to like do the safe thing because no one ever got fired by choosing IBM, there's so much opportunity there. And so I write about this and like a bunch of other things in my book that people aren't doing that presents a massive opportunity for marketing space.